Hello, everyone. This is Kathleen with TreeSisters, and I am doing creative interviews today. And I'm very excited to bring you Lydia Baksh. Hi, Lydia.
Hi.
Did I say your last name correctly? I think I change it every time I say it.
Fine. It's pronounced Baksh, or if I was to pronounce it in the Indian way, it'd be Baksh. But yeah,
Baksh. Okay, great. Thank you. And welcome. Uh,
thank you for having me. Thank you.
Lydia is a singer, and she put out a song called Trees that caught my attention. And I reached out to her, and she agreed to do this interview today. So I'm really excited we're going to have a little bit of a listen to one of her songs, a new one that's not even recorded yet. And there'll also be links to listen to Trees, of course, and other works that she has done. So a little bit about Lydia. She's a singer-songwriter and also a Kundalini yoga teacher, Shakti dance teacher, and lecturer in movement psychology. She has been creating mantric music for the past decade as an accompaniment for her yoga teaching, but is soon to release her debut album of her own lyrical offerings. Inspired by her connection to the land and a deep connection to nature, her debut album, Spiral In, is due to release in autumn of 2020. So we're really in a good time with you, where we have like perfect timing for all of this emerging music coming through you. I'm so excited. You're in East Sussex in England, right? Forest Row, so it must be
Sorry.
a special area there, is it?
It's really special. We're very near to the Meridian line, the Greenwich Meridian line that runs through pretty much through our village. And it just feels like a power spot. We've got a huge Steiner school as well in the
Oh,
village. And I live actually in a Steiner community here at Emerson College. And so the reason I moved here is because it's full of biodynamic farms, like ethical farming, and we're right on the edge of the huge ancient ashdown forest. So it attracts a lot of interesting people who want to live a more conscious life, who want to live more responsibly and sustainably. So
that's
yeah.
wonderful. How many people would you say are in that community?
Well, Emerson, where I live here, I think there's probably about 70 of us on campus itself. But the village, it's quite a big village. It's more like a small
Yeah.
town. Yeah, I have no idea how many people, but yeah.
And how far outside London is it?
It is an hour, pretty much an hour's drive to London.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. I might even think about taking a visit out there. I'll be going to London in August. So I'd love to see just from your description with the forest and how much nature has really been a part of your music, and is it's really beautiful to tune into. And I love that the fact that you're working with movement and the psychology of movement, because it really grounds us and really embody, coming back into our bodies is like coming back into the earth. Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And then you do a lot of work in your community with all these, besides the way that you're recreating the system in which you live and work with biodynamics and more closely with nature and in tune with each other and all of the positive energies that you work with, you also reach out into the Amazon and do some work with them as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, as I said, there's some really incredible beings living here in Forest Row. A dear friend of mine, Vandita, she's been going back and forth to Ecuador and working very closely with tribes there. She actually lived there for some years, but she has some amazing projects where they are sending over their beautiful artifacts that they make, the jewelry and earrings, and she sells them on. And she supports them in many other ways, like raising awareness for the tribes people there. We've also got Jimena, who you know, who's on the board of TreeSisters. She lives
Exactly.
Yeah, she lives in Forest Row, and her family, they're all doing amazing work to either support projects in Brazil, in the Amazon, or even closer to home. We have the River Medway running through Forest Row, and yeah, her daughter Sophia is doing some amazing work to to clean our rivers, waterways, to use water more responsibly. So yeah, they're very inspiring people to have around.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. I just got to meet and talk to Jimena. She is on the board of TreeSisters, but the first time I talked to her was this past Tuesday. So when you told me that she's the one that really, let you know about TreeSisters, introduce you to TreeSisters, and I was like, yes, it makes so much sense. I mean, her essence is just so strong, and I can't imagine, actually really living with her and seeing all the things that she's doing. And I want to know more. I want to get to know her more. So it sounds like a beautiful community to be in, and a lot of possibilities are coming forward for the future because of communities like yours, actually, making the change. Do you feel that there is, that the
Yeah.
change is happening through your community?
Yeah, I mean, we feel it very much in Forester, I guess, because I live here, but a lot of people who come to the village, they all comment on what a powerful place it is, and how it's also like a vortex when you come here. I guess there's like I can never pronounce it, Mount Shastra.
Shasta, yes.
You know, you have these kind of power spots, and we've got Glastonbury or Avalon here in the UK. You've got these certain power spots around the globe that are kind of like a vortex where things can really shift. I feel it's very much like that here, but I think globally, and I'm sure you feel it too, like things are really shifting on a global scale now for the better, and that I think just the consciousness of the planet is rising despite all the challenges we are facing. It's like a catalytic time for the planet right now. I really feel that.
Yeah, yeah, it's really beautiful that you brought that, up, because it is that catalyst. It is the, things that are really, really challenging coming up in the world. And then there's this whole other piece that is, wanting to be birthed. And I think that they have to sort of collide in order to identify and to move forward, and yeah, when you talk about these different points of energy on the planet, the planet is a living being. And, I know that a lot of areas have been identified as different parts of the body, as at least as how we relate to the body, and, the different chakras and the different areas and strength that is actually in the earth in these places makes, alternates our whole like awareness and opens it up. And I have been lucky enough to be in some of those places. I live 45 minutes out of Chicago now, so it's a different bit of energy, but I have been to the Sierra Nevada, and there's so much that you can feel. Like I was at the Hummingbird Sanctuary in New Mexico, and it's about 9,000 feet elevation. And I camped there, and I could literally feel her heartbeat through the ground when I was camping there. And it's an experience that you just don't get everywhere. So there's certain things that, I love, that we're tuning into more and learning more about her, And I guess that really brings us to your music and why, what the creative inspiration of her energy, of, Earth's energy. And it's really more of a balance, isn't it? It's both masculine and feminine, that energy that just creates this emerging creativity. It's that voice that's coming through, literally for you in your singing, but also for others, that are expressing in different ways by writing or, dancing as well, painting, or just thinking of new ways to garden, new ways to interact and be and assist each other, and new ways to love. It's that creative voice, isn't it?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell me a bit about how your connection is with, first of all, I want to thank you for being a soul tree with TreeSisters. And that, for anybody who's listening and doesn't know, that's when Lydia or anyone says, you know what, I want to be in a reciprocal relationship with the planet, and the work that I'm doing speaks to nature's, comes through me as nature. And I want to be able to give back and make a difference. And, kind of, we're always in this cycle pattern of trying to do that to the best that we can. And we're receiving so much as we do that, and receiving more inspiration as we do that. So I want to thank you for planting trees with every song or concert or, whatever that you do. And it makes such a difference for us, and I'm sure it makes a difference for you as you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it does. It feels like, literally, mind the pun, but it feels like through my music it's branching out in a much more resonant way. Because it's beautiful to be able to just bring healing purely through the music, but to know that for everyone who listens or purchases, especially through Bandcamp, it doesn't really work this way with Spotify, of course, but for every purchase through Bandcamp or every ticket that's sold for one of my concerts, then yeah, trees are being planted. And it feels really good to know that. It feels that my music is, as I say, literally branching out in a way that's really meaningful.
It's an actual flourishing of the work, and you can really imagine it, that it's growing, where it's going, and you can feel it then kind of coming back through earth, I would imagine, when you're out in your beautiful forest near you. What is the name of the forest that you go to be inspired?
The Ashdown Forest, which is just about 5 minutes walk from my house.
So tell me more about your creative process in nature, and how, just share however you feel you want to share about that.
Yeah, well, I actually only started writing my own songs 5 years ago, almost exactly 5 years ago. I think you mentioned my mantric music earlier. So I would usually just compose music for ancient mantras. So obviously I wasn't writing those. Yeah, and that's how I guess my connection to music was born, through mantra. And then it's a bit of a not a long story, but I won't go into the whole story. But basically, a dear friend of mine who holds nature connection workshops, she insisted I start writing my own songs. And I actually did a workshop that she facilitated here in the Ashdown Forest, all about nature connection. And the next day I woke up and this song just came through. It didn't come through in one chunk, but it's almost like the songs whisper to me, and I get little trickles of lyrics or a melody coming through. And then in the days that followed, a bit more comes in. And then I think within a few days, it was fully formed. Yeah, and that was really inspired by the work we were doing with the land, and there was a lot of meditation and plant spirit communication. Yeah, and it all helped to inspire this song Trees, which was my first release. I released it last November.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful song, by the way, and everyone will get a chance to listen to it later. I was listening to, like when you're doing the movements, it's almost like you're dancing when you were explaining how the whispers are coming through. And I wanted to go a little bit deeper into that. When you talk about the whispers coming through and the you know, really the relationship and the communication that you're having with nature and with the trees. Do you have anything more that you'd like to say about that, or to describe about that it really is true and that it does exist?
Yeah. I, for some years, I really dropped deep into plant spirit communication as a practice, and it wasn't to do with the music. It was just receiving teachings directly from nature. And I love working with flowers as well as trees. I have a real resonance with flowers. And I would receive sometimes very direct messages, or sometimes it's just a feeling or an image. But yeah, receiving guidance through the medium of nature and flowers and trees. And in terms of it inspiring music, yeah, I'm trying to think of specific times. I've got a beautiful story of last year, actually, when I had COVID. And obviously I was isolating. And we had a really warm spell. So I would just take my blanket out every day, and I'd be down by the pond. Here, I think you've got a photograph that I sent you, actually.
Yeah, I do. I'll bring it up in a minute. I want to hear the story.
At my office, that pond. And so I take my blanket down and a pillow, and I don't know if you've had COVID, but you know, I felt very weak, and I had this beautiful book which I'd like to share a little bit about. It's called The Way of the Rose. And it's about the ancient roots of the rosary, the pre-Christian roots of the rosary. And I know we were talking earlier, and we were talking about making the garland of roses.
Yes.
As the actual rosary, which it would have been in ancient times, and then you would offer this garland of roses to the Divine Mother, which was the earth.
Yeah, and who was I listened to the audio of the book a lot, actually, and Sophie Strand is actually the voice of Earth, the author's daughter. Have you listened to the audio?
I haven't. No.
I love audio books, but especially when it's read by the authors, you know.
Yeah, so I had been reading this book, The Way of the Rose, which was inspiring me. I could read like just a little bit, and then I'd have to sleep for a while. And because of having COVID, I felt a little bit spaced out, a little bit spacey. And I remember being there surrounded by all these beautiful flowers and the trees and the water. And then I looked at all the daisies, and I really felt that they were her eyes, like the Mother Earth's eyes looking at me, like I really felt it. And she was looking with such love. And then all the leaves were like her hands. And I really experienced, I think, fully for the first time, that nature really was her body, and it really was alive, and it was so loving, so overwhelmingly loving. And then this song came through called The Mother. Inspired, which I haven't recorded yet, actually, but it was inspired by that time when I had COVID, and I really felt held by her.
And COVID kind of slowed you down enough to actually, made you stop, which I think happened to a lot of people. I mean, I'm sure you'd already been in touch and slowed down, but even a little bit deeper where you would recognize things that you may not recognize normally.
Sure, yeah. I think that was a real blessing. It was very challenging sometimes as well, especially through winter.
Yeah.
So many of us. But in the summer, I was so blessed actually to have that space and that time to receive and to drop in.
Yeah, let me bring up the space so we can look at it. We'll continue to talk to you. Well, see, here are some of the beautiful photographs of you in nature. And there's another one that I'm going to add into the comments where you're hugging a tree, you know, the tree hugger, you know, but it's just, it has just such a natural look about it because there's still dirt and dust on your arms, like you know, that it doesn't bother you, that you're part of nature. And you might be able to see a little bit of it here, but I really love that part in here where you're just laying on the dirt. And this really brings that rose and the way of the rose. I don't know if this was before or after that you read that.
It was before. Yeah, this was actually taken, I think, 2.5 years ago in Glastonbury. I'd just done a rose retreat with a beautiful teacher, Annabelle de Boulay, and it was on the last day of the retreat. And there was an amazing photographer there, and so we did this photo shoot that would be for my album, my debut album.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful, and I love the rose. I'm so infatuated by the energy of the rose, and what great lighting there is in this photograph. I noticed
that actually was just the sunlight.
Wow, it's just beautiful lighting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then here's the space that you're in right now, and you can see a little bit more of what's happening there with your guitar and your writing pad, and you've got singing bowls and all sorts of drums and things. And I think that's like either your staff or a rainmaker in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually a little staff. It was made by my friend's son on a forest school's
Oh,
and you know he made that for me.
I love that. I love how forest schools are growing everywhere, and it does give me hope. And tell us a little bit about this picture. Tell everyone else. You told me, but go ahead and tell everyone.
This is I've got a few favorite trees, and I think this is certainly up there, if not my favorite. So as I said, I live in this community at Emerson College, and the gardens are so exquisitely beautiful. And we've got 2 magnolia trees. So we've got the white magnolia, which is this one. And then we've also, you can actually see in the background, we've got the pink magnolia. Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the white magnolia, and I would just spend a lot of time she's very easy to climb into, and there's that particular branch that is very comfortable, so I would nestle in there and sometimes just be there and smelling it's a very subtle scent. Just smelling the scent of the magnolia would be beautiful in itself, but I make essences, I make flower essences. So I made an essence from this magnolia tree, and I sang mantras over it, and I love to gift that to friends and people. And yeah, also I mentioned that I practice plant spirit communication, and I've received such beautiful guidance from this particular magnolia tree over the years. But a friend actually took this photograph secretly. I didn't know she'd taken it.
Yeah, it just in the spur of the moment, and it's absolutely such a beautiful, it speaks to me in so many levels. And you know, you're so relaxed as you're sitting there, and there's just, you know, the abundance of the magnolia. It's speaking to me. I think if you look at it long enough, we would all get messages. So it's really beautiful. Thank you, friend, from all of us. And this one is one of the places you were talking about, right? That you go out into?
Yeah, so you can actually see the cherry tree there in blossom, just in the white blossom there. And so, yeah, and I'd have my blanket underneath there. That's where I was reading the book, The Way of the Rose, where I received the inspiration for the song, The Mother. Yeah.
Yes, it's such an abundant and beautiful area. What a blessing.
And those azaleas, you can just see those orange azaleas. They smell exquisite. It's just my favorite time of year
Mhm.
when the azaleas are out.
Oh yeah, they're just, it must be a very old area because they're so big, everything.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Let's see what else we have here. And then we're gonna, well, that we don't need to see. That's just your little form. Thank you for sharing all those pictures with me. I think, you know, a picture, like they say, is a thousand words. And then when you bring nature into it, there's many more than a thousand words, and so much wisdom to be brought through all of those spaces that some of us can visit and some of us can't be there with it. And I think that your music is a conduit, you know, like you said, to bring that feeling and that communication and those messages, and even just the acknowledgement of there is nature out there to others who can't be in it, and you know, don't have the same abundant you know, of nature. Like there's so much destruction to a lot of nature that you see. You know, noticing what's going on around the world is catastrophic things that are happening to just completely disregard such beauty. And I really feel that you know, your music and all of the other beautiful expressions of nature that are coming through is the way that we're going to be able to really shift the consciousness. It's one of the ways, at least, that we can shift the consciousness and then let everyone know what it is that we need to protect. So I really appreciate that. And I want to hear you sing. And I want to let everybody know that, of course, we're on Zoom. So don't expect concert hall situation, although I'm sure you're going to blow us away anyway. But I just want to, you know, put that up front, that all we're doing this with is Zoom, and it makes a big difference when you have the proper microphone and all these different things. So I'm excited to share. What is the name of this? Earthrise? Earthrise. Okay, I'm gonna put it just focused on you, and you can start when you're ready.
Mm-hmm. Soak the earth with your tears. Can our love reverse the years of destruction and fear? Let's co-create from love. Let's start it here. It's not too late if we act now, if we congregate and join our power, we'll find a way, we'll find a way. You have a say. Let's the earth breathe. Help her thrive, help her thrive, help thrive. Let's help the earth rise, help the earth rise, help the earth rise, help her rise. So be the change you wish to see. Find the fire in your heart to ignite humanity. To make that change consciously, let's help the earth breathe.
Okay, so I'm just crying. I can't. I want to clap, I want to roar, I want to cry, I want to scream. It's just absolutely so moving. And I feel so privileged to be in this space right now. It feels like it's just you and me here. And I'm so happy that I can share it with everyone else. And thank you for sharing this with the world and for putting the words to it and to co-creating. And, you know, it's going to inspire so many. So beautiful. I'm kind of speechless, really. It spoke to, you know, many things that I think a lot of us are thinking about right now. Yeah.
Yeah, this song that I've sang, I haven't released it just yet. So I'm going to record. I haven't finished my first album yet. It's literally in its final stages right now. As soon as that's out, very soon, I'm going to start recording my second album. And this is for sure going to be on my second album.
Yeah.
And I really imagine this. It's a little bit like, you know, those Band-Aid, you know, the Live Aid songs.
Yeah.
I have a huge chorus of just like so many people singing, and it probably be longer than that, and it can really build, like really raise the roof.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have a real big vision for this particular song, and I want to gift it. I want to gift it to you know, TreeSisters and also other projects. Like we have the HS2 project here, which you might know about. Basically, it's this high-speed train line that's going to go through the whole green belt of England.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, they're protesting for that, and for Extinction Rebellion, all these amazing movements that are happening. I really want to just get it out there and gift it to these projects to help them if it can in any way. And
yeah, that's so generous. And yes, you know, while you were singing, I started to sing a little bit inside my head, and I was going to start singing out loud. It feels like something to join into, you know, that it is definitely a call to that. And you know, just when you like go into the higher ranges, it's just like you can just feel yourself kind of being with a lot of people and just sort of rising the vibration, kind of all rising to this powerful place that we can actually help Earth rise and help Earth breathe. And when you know, that tender moment at the end, you know, help Earth breathe, and just that pause that you make is so full, it's so rich, you know, because it gives us an opportunity to really realize it, what that is, you know, that breath. Yeah, thank you. I could keep talking about that for a while, but I want to say, I mean, I love trees just as much, that song, and I hadn't heard this one yet. And but please keep us, up to date when the album is released. And we have a marketplace in the nest. And I don't know if you know about that, but you're absolutely welcome to, put the link up there for the album to purchase it, or however it goes. And we can all be helping to support TreeSisters and Live Aid or whatever, that we're going to do to stop the trains cutting through and all that. So, and then I also wanted to mention, you had spoken about in your community, and I think it was Ximena, but I'm not sure. There was a woman who's connecting with women who are making things and hand beating and things like that and selling those. I'd love to, have you invite her to also share in the marketplace and to bring those pieces there. Yeah, and you can email me and talk to me about it, and we'll figure it out. Absolutely. We're starting to hopefully bring in some pieces from some of the women in other areas too, that we're doing some of our planting projects in and things like that. I mean, it's all about, sustaining all of us as well as the earth. It's a one swift move, like you mentioned about love, and how, love is that, it's something that we can do, that we can, just open up to, and it's going to help. Everything resonates to the heart of the earth, the heart of all those special places around the planet. They're right here inside of our heart. If we really use that power, it's right here. So I appreciate you. There's a couple of things you can go for, like inspiration. Just a couple of things I usually like to ask everybody. I think we talked about becoming a tree sister, but if there's anything else you wanted to talk about, to add to that, I think we touched on most of it. Is there any other piece that you feel like you wanted to add about tree sisters and being aligned with our work?
Yeah, and what I really love about what is happening with TreeSisters and what Claire initiated was how it is promoting the role, apart from protecting the rainforest, which is massively important, of course, but also elevating the role of women in those communities on the tropical belt. And the indigenous communities in leadership roles, and giving them a voice, because I think we all know now that it is the time for the feminine to rise again, and it's so needed, that aspect, to bring balance, and if we're going to make real change happen. So it's not only for the fact that it's just fair that women are respected equally as men, but it's the medicine that they have to bring is really needed right now. And I'm loving the fact that she is pioneering that, or she's really bringing that to the forefront with her work. And all you guys, of course, it's a whole collective mission that you're doing. And
and it's you, and we really open up to the community. That's what the whole purpose of it is not to have just sort of this small kind of immobile organization, but it's more about how can we expand and cross all of the borders and just bring everyone together on the same mission. And when you talk about feminine leadership, is there any one thing that may come, to mind that maybe that speaks to that, because it's sometimes hard for to be defined, sometimes hard for others to understand.
Yeah, I'd actually like to share just briefly about my own journey with relaxing into my feminine. And because it really is, it's about relaxing, it's about leaning back into, whether it's the divine mother as Gaia or just our own feminine essence, it's coming into that receptive, intuitive place that just knows. It's not so much about forcing or planning, or how do you say, it's not linear. It's It's expansive and intuitive and soft. And my journey personally, especially I'd say the past 5 years, of falling back into my feminine more and more and approaching life from that place. I mean, it's healing everything through me. Things are just blossoming and flowing so much more beautifully in my life. Whereas I used to, I guess, micromanage my life and control everything and plan everything and have lists for everything. I was such a, how would you say, very Capricorn in way. And also, with Capricorn, Saturn is our ruler, and I would be very much in my masculine, even though obviously there's a real femininity about me naturally. I was very much in my masculine in some ways, but I've healed my life through, as I say, dropping into my feminine. And I think that aspect is really what the planet needs right now. We're coming out of patriarchy into something much more gentle, much more fluid and flowing and feminine. And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, and I just want to let you acknowledge that I do feel that with you. I feel that the balance that you have been working on, it's not something that it just comes naturally to some or not. It's actually, we need to work on it, and we probably should be thinking about it and considering it from a very young age. But to bring that balance, and I can feel it through you, because there's an awful lot of gentleness and, of course, through your music and the receptivity, but there's also this place that you're holding yourself, and, there's enough structure to keep things going in the right direction without overpowering it. And I really appreciate that. And also, would you say that, I'm sure you already really said it, that nature has been very helpful for you to be in touch with your feminine and to bring that piece forward?
Yeah, just watching nature and just seeing how nothing's ever forced. Everything is in divine timing. She doesn't have to worry, about forcing her course. She just trusts that things all have a natural flow and timing. And so by me observing nature, it reminds me that everything is in this beautiful divine order.
Yeah.
And it reminds me to drop into trust and surrender, and that everything is okay. We're always looked after, we're always provided for. It's like the birds, they never worry where their next meal is coming from. They just know. And yet, so many of us are in that vibration or attitude of lack. I was for many years.
Oh yeah.
And I found actually just by choosing to be in trust, that's the catalyst. That's when things started to shift and things just started to flow in without me having to try.
I totally agree. Trust and gratitude for me they're kind of, they balance back and forth, because every time we trust and you learn, because it's like, oh my goodness, such a gift to be able to trust and to have our needs answered and fulfilled. And then, the gratitude, and then sometimes you go back into it, and you kind of notice this. And what I'm seeing is the dance, really, and I know, that's what you're also about, but that's what's coming up in this moment too. It's that dance,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We could talk forever about each one of these subjects. So I would, I'm just going to read this piece that you wrote about being fully expressed. And what you said was that you want to collaborate more with artists who share this same vision, that you are blown away by what evolves whenever you collaborate with other musicians, and you love the co-creation aspect of it and would like to experience more of this. And the reason why I read that rather than asked you is because that is what, you know, we're trying to cultivate in the community of Tree Sisters, is something that we're focusing on through the creative community is, you know, what if it's not just like the power of one voice, but it's the collective power, and there's so much more that can be created. And you know, I'm doing the dance moves now, but you know that like I would start dancing, and you know, you would start painting, and it really, there is, you know, everything's possible for all of us, and we kind of become this one kind of amoeba of love and life, right? So I appreciate that very much. When I read that, I was just like, yes, that's it's a very big change. I think that's a very big change to just sort of give up our egos in that way, where we're saying, you know, we don't need to be a standout. We're still a standout. You're still unique. You're still, your voice is going to be your voice, and what you bring is your gift. But to be willing to share those ideas and kind of collaborate in a way that it doesn't have to have just your name on it, but you're, you know, that you're all sharing ideas and letting go of, you know, letting go of our control, like you said, or, you know, our trying to control certain things. And it's a heavenly, magical experience, isn't it, to do that?
Yeah, it is actually happening much more. I've put the intention out, and I just keep getting offered to do these collaborations with other sisters, with other musical sisters. I'm doing one tomorrow evening. I did one a couple of weeks
Wow.
ago, where they, like me, they're sharing earth-based songs. And we are just doing a concert together for like a dance event, but then
Yeah.
there is like a musical section of it, the beginning and then at the end. And so I would sing my song, and the other women would just improvise and harmonize, or might drum, or, you know, play another instrument along, and then we'd do the same to each other's songs. And
Let someone else guide you, and you know, you kind of go with that. Yeah, oh, I get it. It's just, it's something that it is new, but yeah, it's like once people are starting to see it, then they're like, it's multiplying, you know, it's starting to grow in exponential ways.
It's so fun as well. It's so much more, or joyful in a different way, you know, to
Mhm.
share that, and and whether it's a brother or a sister, you're just collaborating just brings me so much joy.
Oh, I love that. I want to hear more about that. Do you blog about your experiences and what you're doing too? Or you have enough on your plate?
I don't. Maybe that would be a good thing to do. I'm not much of a writer, putting things
Yeah,
down in words. Like, I can do it, but it takes so much effort and energy.
yeah, I
Especially
get
with the
it.
songs, it's like I don't really write them; they come through me.
Yeah.
But maybe I should try and channel the blog.
Yeah,
That
I mean, you know.
doable.
I think that might be something you could try, and but you know, because it's the experience of the experience, right? It's the process of what you're doing too that has such rich inspiration in it. I think that, you know, I'm feeling that as we're talking. All right, so we talked about how you're connecting to nature and landscapes and the muse, and we could do that much more, but we did cover that. So for the last thing, for the closing thing, sad as that may be, um, based on your personal journey, what wisdom or encouragement would you want to offer to everyone who's on the creative path, or people who think that the creative path isn't, you know, isn't their path? Like, I believe everyone is creative. What would you offer to everyone?
Everyone on their creative path. Yeah, it's following our highest excitement, and whatever that is, even if we have doubts, especially when it comes to creativity. For me personally, that's been my happy place, and that's, I don't really have much of a block when it comes to creativity myself. But I do know there's many people who, they think, oh, that's not me, I'm not a creative type, whereas I think we all are. We are nature. Nature is creativity.
Yes.
And so for those people, as an avenue into their own creativity, it's like just doing something purely for the joy of it, and allowing it to be messy, and allowing it to maybe not be beautiful, and just for the joy of getting paint on paper, or humming a tune, or whatever modality it is.
Yes.
Yeah, to not worry about the result or the perfection. It's just for the pure experience
Yeah.
and the enjoyment of doing it, and to follow that. And I think it's so
Yeah.
important, isn't it, for us to
So
find
important.
creative outlets.
So important. And inlets too, you know, it's and when when you were talking, it's sort of like being a child again, you know, just not worrying about like what's we're not trying to do something on time, we're not trying to do something for like a finished product, we're in the moment.
Mm.
And it's playing, dancing, splashing paint around mud, it's dancing always, right? And then we all grow up and we're like, oh, I can't dance, I can't paint, I can't, whatever, because we're not really invited to do that. We're not everyone is invited. They're okay, these people are artists and these most people are not. And that's what we're told, like, by society, and it's so off. And that connection to nature, that playing in the mud or whatever, what we did when we were little, right? It just came naturally to create things.
Yeah, for sure. I think with my work, which I haven't spoken about so much, but I teach actors, actually. I teach movement to actors, and that's where the movement psychology comes in,
Mm.
which is really the movement psychology. It's all about how our movements express our inner workings, our feelings, all the time, without us even being conscious of it. And my job is to make actors a little more consciously aware of how we are expressing our inner life through movement. And we can take that to a huge scale and really dance it, or it could be, just very, very subtle if I'm working with screen actors,
Yeah.
just with how we're breathing, and the quality of the breath can even express inner life, and so my work really is to get adults back to that very
Yeah.
playful, raw place, and back to their impulses.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love just being able to facilitate a space where I can have adults get back to that inner child and
Yeah.
playful, and not caring about the result of what it looks like. I think it's
Yeah.
so healing.
That's heaven. That is. Thank you. That is so beautiful. And I'm thinking about how can we bring you in to do some type of movement. I run a creative journey with TreeSisters that happens every season. And I think that would be so beautiful to have a little taste of what your work is in that way with everyone.
I love that. Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you. I mean, I don't want to let you go, to be honest. I think the vibe that you bring and everything that we could talk about here is exactly the place to be. And I know that everyone else is going to enjoy this, and I'll have, the different ways to reach out to you and things like that and share more of your music. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with me here today.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a real joy to share with you, and yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you everyone for watching.